Let me tell you what it's like to be unencumbered, nothing. No collateral, no lineage, no cushion. Between the body and the pavement, son, a dissertation on the physics of a life without insulation. I wore the same three things in alternating rotation through a winter that had no particular compassion for the unprovided. What could be sourced from ingenuity rather than from currency? Develop a fluency in the dialects of scarcity. Learn that grammar intimately. Learn that hunger is a clarifying entity that strips the superfluous within efficiency. No philosophy can match, leaves only loose and see what matters and what doesn't. Hunger makes that separation with the surgical indifference of pure desperation. I was the man who had nothing, not as metaphor, as inventory. Every pocket audited and found, absent of a promissory. Notes that other men were born holding. I had just the obligatory and unsubstantiated feeling that this wasn't my territory. Yeah, it would be. That was all, my only introductory. Capital of certainty, too stubborn for its own category. The man with things to lose had something I lacked, the vulnerability built into their structure, fragility of the pocket T they move through with consequence attached. I move through it unencumbered, nothing to be snatched from me. That opposite, the freedom of the dispossessed, is not romantic, but it's real. I was unaddressed by the usual anxieties of men with holdings and with stakes. What are you willing to lose was never one of my heartbreaks, cause the answer was immediate, liberating in its clarity. Everything, which is to say, complete polarity, a recklessness. I could go further than the man who had something tethering him to caution. Nothing made me glad to risk, because risk was just Tuesday, just a atmospheric norm of a life where every day was already inside the storm. I was the man who had nothing, not as metaphor, as inventory. Every pocket audited and found, absent of the promissory. Notes that other men were born holding. I had just the obligatory hunger and unsubstantiated feeling that this wasn't my territory. Yeah, it would be. That was all, my only introductory. Capital of certainty, too stubborn for its own category. I learned to read the micro-expressions of abundance, studied how the comfortable betrayed their redundance of options, how they deliberated where I had to act, how the cushion life produces a particular and exact relationship with urgency. The affluent are slow, not from stupidity, from the luxury of not needing to know by tomorrow. I needed to know by now. That acceleration of the cognitive became my primary differentiation from the men who would eventually populate my orbit. I was faster, not from talent, from the morbid necessity of a life that didn't tolerate the leisurely approach. I was honed by what I lacked measurably into something sharper than the polished and prepared. The nothing made me dangerous, the nothing made me rare, but I know what it cost. The unromantic ledger of the nothing, every night spent on a narrow edge, and the indignities that accumulate without witnessing the way that scarcity can do its own glistening damage to the interior, the slow abrasion of a self that had to fight for its own validation. Every single day before a single external thing was built, I carried at the unacknowledged silt of years of being weightless in a world that values weight, the counting of the invisible, inconsequential, past the point of mounting any argument for my own significance. To those who gatekeep the possible, I remember every one of those. Cold in '87, nothing in the pocket, everything in the eyes. Nobody thought to clock it, that particular quality of a boy who wouldn't stop it, the wanting, the unreasonable, refusing to drop it. I had nothing. Nothing is where everything begins, for the ones who understand. what nothing actually can contain.